Hi guys, Miss Abate here. All right, so for today's lesson, we're going to be on week 1, unit 2. So we're going to start off with our read aloud for this week. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started with our read aloud. All right, so for today's read aloud, it is called Maria Celebrates Brazil. Now, I want us to focus on the essential question during today's read aloud. It says, how are families around the world the same and different? Or another way we can say is similar and different, okay? So we are going to be reading about a family from Brazil. So Brazil is another country. We are in the United States. Brazil is in a country in South America, so that is down south from the United States, very far down, okay? So they do speak a different language, and they have a almost completely different culture than we do here in the United States. So we are going to be reading about today Maria's family, and we're going to be looking at how Maria's family is the same as our family or your family, because even my family and your family could be different, right? And we're also going to be reading about how her family is different from our family, okay? Now, the first thing we're going to focus on before we start reading is the genre. So the genre is realistic fiction. I want you guys to say that after me. Realistic fiction. Okay, so what is realistic fiction? Realistic fiction, now I know you guys know what fiction is and what nonfiction is, okay? So if you remember, fiction means fake or not true, okay? Realistic, it has a key word in there, real. So it is a not true story, but it seems like it could be real. So that means that there absolutely could be a family named Maria, or excuse me, a girl named Maria who lives in Brazil and whose family has the same kind of struggles, the same storyline that we're going to be reading about today. So this realistic fiction means it's not a true story, but it absolutely can seem like it's a real story, okay? It's about people. People are real. It's about a country called Brazil, and that is a real place. It's just not like a documentary or a biography, okay? So again, I'm going to repeat the essential question, and I want us to make sure that we're really honing in on the realistic fiction, or excuse me, that we're honing in on our essential question, which is how is Maria's family the same and different from our family? And how are families from around the world the same and different? All right, so we're going to start reading. So I'm going to have the computer play it. I want you guys to have your listening ears on. But before we get started, let me just remind you, make sure you have a piece of paper and something to write with, okay? If you don't have that, go ahead and press pause and get that right now. All right, so if you are ready, I'm going to go ahead and press play, and I want us to be listening.
Maria and her family are in their bright, hot kitchen. Please, Mai, por favor, Maria begs. Mai speaks Portuguese. This is the language of Brazil. No matter how much you beg or plead, you must go to practice. The parade is next week.
So already be listening for things that are similar and different, okay?
It's not fair, says Maria in English. Mai does not know a lot of English. Maria is surprised when she asks, what is not fair about going to practice? You must do the right thing. Anna invited me to her house, Maria answers. I want to go. Pi says, Maria, the parade is important. People from around the world come to see it. They try our food, see how we dress, and how we live. It is a chance for us to share our culture. I know, but I really want to see Anna, says Maria. Pi says, Maria, you can see Anna another time. They are giving out costumes at practice today. Maria thinks about her father's words. Pi is right. She and the other children have worked hard for a year. They practiced their dance steps over and over. They even made their own bright, colorful costumes.
You can see Maria thinking about, the parade and thinking about maybe her practice.
You're right, Maria says to her father. I'll go to practice. I'll tell Anna I cannot visit her. 1 week passes. Lots of people line the streets. The children in Maria's group are wearing their sparkling costumes. They know each dance step. They dance to the beat. The crowd moves aside as they make their way down the street. When the crowd moves away, Maria sees a woman with a camera. She is hurrying. The woman scurries by Maria. She puts her camera to her eye. Maria smiles from ear to ear. She is excited to be in the parade. Click, the woman takes a picture of Maria. Maria is proud of her hard work.
Okay, the end. Now, I know that was a little short of a story, but it gives us a lot of time to talk about and reflect about the essential question, meaning how is Maria's family the same and different from ours? So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the text. That way we can kind of start at the beginning talking about these. Now, I want to first start with asking, how is Maria's family the same as our family? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause this video and I want you to think about, how is Maria's family the same as yours? Go ahead and pause the video and think about that question. You can either keep it in your head or write it down on your paper. Go ahead. All right, so I hope you have some ideas in your head or you wrote them down. Maybe you're just thinking about them. You didn't want to write them down yet, okay? So I want to share some ways that I think Maria's family is the same as my family, okay? And then I want you guys to think about, oh, maybe Miss Abate's family is kind of the same as mine, or that's a little bit different too. So I want to start with Maria saying that she wants to go to her friend Anna's house instead of the parade. My family would be the same way as her parents. They would say, no, you said you had practice to go to. That's a commitment that you have to make. You wanted to do this, so that's what you have to do. So you can see your friend another time, but practice, just like school, is your job. That's something that you have to do. So that's one way that her parents or her family is the same as mine. Another way that her family is the same as mine is that she does these practices. She's in parades. She, goes to practice to do dance, to do singing, it says, dressing up in costumes. Now, I've done that too whenever I was a kid. In ballet or dance class, whatever you want to call it. Of course, I had to go to practice to learn to dance. I had to get dressed up in costumes and, do performances. So why don't you think about maybe ways, if my family was the same or different as yours, write those down, or again, take some time to think about other ways that Maria's family is the same as yours. So you can pause this video again and you can write those down and think about them in your head. Go ahead. All right. So the second question that I'm going to ask is, how is Maria's family different from your family? Okay. How is Maria's family different than your family? Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that way you can see the question that I'm asking you. Okay. So how is Maria's family different than other families or different from your family? Okay. So go ahead, be thinking about this question. You can either think about it in your head or write it down. Go ahead, pause the video and do that. All right, welcome back. So I hope you thought about this question. How is Maria's family different than other families or different than your family? So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And I'm going to share my screen back to the Maria Celebrates Brazil page. So I'll go back to the beginning. So again, I'm going to go ahead and share some ways that I think Maria's family is different from other families or is different from my family. Okay. So first thing I want to look right here. Maria and her family are in their bright, hot kitchen. Please, Mai, por favor, Maria begs. Mai speaks Portuguese. This is the language of Brazil. Now, I don't speak Portuguese. I don't live in Brazil. So right there is a really big difference between Maria's family and my family. Now, that's something that you guys probably wrote down too, but I don't know, maybe you do speak Portuguese. Maybe you do have family in Brazil. If so, I definitely want to hear about that too. If you do have family that lives there or you know a little bit about that culture, I would love to find out more about that and find out about how you and your families maybe are similar to Maria's family in that sense, okay? So that is a difference, is that they speak Portuguese and that they live in Brazil. Now, I don't do either of those things, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to say that I think is different, that Maria's family is different than my family or other families that I know, is I'm looking at their costumes right here. I'm looking at these girls, their sequin tops. It almost looks like a feathery dress. They have these feather headdresses on, and I'm also looking at the boys. I'm looking at these shirts that have like the long sleeves. It almost looks like kente cloth on it, but I'm not sure if that's what it is or not because they're in Brazil. And the boys are also wearing a headdress with feathers on it. Now, I personally don't know anybody that has gone in parades like that. So that is something that looks a little bit different from families that I know or parades that I've been to. Now, it also looks like they're holding maracas. And again, I'm not sure of anybody, at least here in my hometown or in my family, that has been in parades that, make music with that instrument. Now, similar as I see the drums. Now, definitely parades that I've been in or parades that I've seen in my hometown, there is a drum line. So that is something that's similar, but I really wanted to focus on their costumes and the outfits that they're wearing in this illustration to represent their culture. That seems a little bit different than something that I've seen. Okay, so last thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask you one more question. And so I'm gonna stop sharing this screen and share back to the, sorry, I'm using Zoom, so it is a little different than what I'm used to sharing on Google Hangouts, so I do apologize. Okay, so now the last question is I want you to put together into sentences, how is Maria's family the same and different from your family? Okay, the question is, how is Maria's family the same and different as your family? So we kind of talked about those first two questions. How is Maria's family the same? How is Maria's family different? Now I want you to be able to put those thoughts into one or two sentences, okay, to be able to combine those thoughts together. So how you're going to do that is you have your piece of paper and pencil, and you're going to write down. So I'll write it on a new screen on here. You're going to start by saying Maria's family is the same and different from my family because. And after because, that's where you're going to go ahead and write how Maria's family is the same and different from yours. Okay? So like I said, I'll repeat it one more time. We're using those first two questions that we talked about. How's Maria's family different from yours? And how's Maria's family the same as yours? So we kind of already split that up. We kind of already talked about, reread parts of the text to kind of get your memory of the story back up. So here's where you're going to pause this video and you're going to write the sentence down on your paper. and you're going to complete the sentence by how was Maria's family the same and different as your family. Okay, so that is what you're going to do to end this read aloud, and make sure you keep it with you so that way we can talk about it at a later time. So you can go ahead and pause this video, get that answer written down, and I'll see you back next time.